In early March of 2024, I volunteered to go out with a group of people to search for a missing person in Southern California's Mojave Desert. We were near Barker Ranch when a member of the group I was with found a green military ammo can. It was a very unusual location for an ammo can, so I assumed it was a geocache box that hobbyists like to find in various locations by using their handheld GPS devices. When I saw the box, I thought to myself, that is not a geocaching box. That is definitely something else. I walked over to it, grabbed the handle to lift it up, but it would not budge. I noticed it was partially buried under a small pile of pack rat material, so I wiped away the rat material and pulled the box out. It felt like it weighed about 30 pounds. For my metric people, that's about 14 kilograms. It was too heavy to be empty, but too light to have ammo in it, so I opened it up, and I could see that it was stuffed with clothing. I brought it down to the group I was with, and we took the clothing out to examine it. One member of the group said that we were close enough to Barker Ranch that it was most likely clothing that Charles Manson hid in the area because he was known for hiding things like this in the event of the apocalypse. I was very intrigued by that idea, but I wasn't there to examine clothing. I was there to help search for a missing person. So after we put the clothing back into the ammo can, I placed it back where it was found, and we continued on with the search. After arriving back at home, I could not stop thinking about that can. I really wanted to know if that was clothing that Charles Manson placed there, or perhaps one of his followers placed there. I wanted to know so bad that several months later, I drove back to the location by myself. Family of donkeys running in the road right in front of me. Charles Manson was arrested for his last time here at Barker Ranch. So here's the famous Barker Ranch house, or what's left of it. It burned down. This is what used to be the steps. The front door was over here. Fireplace here. Kitchenette over here. I guess living room. Master bedroom was here. Window to the master bedroom. Charles Manson, his last day of freedom, he was actually sitting right here. The CHP officer came in through here. There was a door there. There was a pantry right here. So the CHP officer came through this door. There was a door to the pantry here. The pantry came through here. The CHP officer came around the pantry over to here. When that door opened, Charles Manson, who was sitting right there, jumped up, ran into the bathroom, and hid inside the cabinet underneath the sink, which was right here. So this here, right there in the shadow, is the last place that Charles Manson was as a free man. The highway patrolman would not have caught him, except that when he looked in from there, looked in under the sink, there was hair sticking out from the cabinet. And he opened it up. He saw Charles Manson. Charles Manson said, "Hi." CHP officer said hi back, and that was it. Over here, which is a very small space, there was a toilet right here. You can kind of see what's left of the plumbing here. And that was the toilet plumbing pipe. I'll dig that up a little. So that's what the toilet was, right there. Shower was right here. Sink, cabinet right there, and that's where Charles Manson was caught. And this is it here at what is left of Barker Ranch here, May 30th, 2024. From October 10th to October 12th, 1969, 26 people were arrested here at Barker Ranch. Manson was the last one to be arrested on October 12th. That means if Manson did hide these articles of clothing, it had to happen somewhere between the first time he arrived at Barker Ranch and before October 12th, 1969. That would also mean the clothing would have to be brands that were in production before October of 1969. So I found this ammo can close to Barker Ranch in Goler Wash. It was actually about 2 miles from Barker Ranch in Goler Wash. And this side was laying in the sun, partially covered in dirt. This side was protected from the sun. That's why it's a different, darker color. So today I'm going to open it up and take the clothing out and take a look at the clothing. There's a pair of wool socks. This looks like a pair of some type of green, military maybe. Hard to tell. Actually looks like female pants, and the brand American Eagle. Here we have a shirt, it says Flash on it. A green shirt that's Chouse Sport Petites. This looks like a female's top. Here is another pair of pants. Definitely female pants, and this brand is, the button says Cherokee. This is a shirt, Capito, K-A-P-I-T-O. Another pair of, I think that's pants. No, that's a shirt. It's almost a military type shirt. The tag has been torn off, so I'm not sure what brand it is. A pair of striped pants that say Cherokee. This one here is size 9, organically grown. Another pair of military style pants. I don't see a brand name. A pair of jeans. These are Forenza. Here's a pair of male jeans, I think. No, these are female. Esprit. Another pair of female pants. There's a tag here that says Liz Sport. Here we have these are military, look like military pants. Here's another shirt, Hunter's Run. This says Heshi 2, 100% cotton, made in Pakistan. Some more wool socks, more socks, and just a bunch of socks. And another pair of pants. Crafted with pride in USA. I'm not sure what brand this is, but these look like female pants. So I pulled out 10 pairs of pants that were inside, and along with the 10 pants were 7 shirts. And included with the pants and the shirts is 8 pairs of socks. I personally know a vintage clothing expert. I'm going to take these articles to him and see what he says. I sent him these pictures. There were 2 articles of clothing with the Esprit brand. Esprit was founded in 1968 in San Francisco and was initially sold out of a VW bus by the couple who founded the clothing line. I was excited because Esprit's timeline falls in place perfectly with the possibility that Manson placed these articles of clothing there. Then my friend called me back and said that he looked up the American Eagle Outfitters brand and that they were founded in 1977 in Novi, Michigan. With that, I realized that Manson or his followers could not have placed the clothing in this location because Manson had been in prison since 1969 and his followers most likely never returned to Barker Ranch. The organically grown brand was established in 1971 in Los Angeles. The Cherokee clothing line was founded in 1973 in Venice Beach, California. The Chouse clothing line was originally founded in 1974. The Capito clothing line began in 1985 in Japan. The Authentica Forenza, Accept No Substitute, originated in Acapulco, Mexico in the 1970s and gained popularity in the early 80s. Liz Sport, I believe, is a Liz Claiborne line of clothes that she began in 1976. And what I think says Zoska was possibly a clothing line that began in 2012. However, I think I might be wrong on this one. I could not find anything definitive related to this tag. Other than it was made in America, I could not figure out the name brand for this clothing line. After going through all this and completely satisfying my curiosity, I decided to drive back to the original location and put the ammo can back where I found it with all its contents inside. My conclusion is that this was possibly placed there in the late 80s or in the 90s, possibly in the 2000s, by someone who was a prepper expecting difficulties such as natural disasters, economic hardships, or end-time scenarios. Whoever it was, I will never know. But what I do know is that it was definitely not placed there by Manson or any of his followers. Also, the missing person we were searching for is Dennis Burton. He went missing September 24th, 2022. His truck was found right here in Goler Wash. Several search parties have searched hundreds of acres in the area, yet Dennis Burton remains missing. The Fowler O'Sullivan Foundation is a group that is dedicated to searching for missing people, and they are very open to volunteers willing to help. I will put a link to their website in the description below. So there you have it. An unusual discovery near Barker Ranch, right here on the Forrest Haggerty channel.